As Mara made her way through the now quieter marketplace, her mind was a whirl of thoughts. The encounter with the boy had left a profound mark on her, stirring emotions she hadn't felt since her husband's passing. She couldn't shake the image of his desperate eyes, so similar to her own children's when they asked for more than she could provide. Her steps led her past the familiar stalls, but today, everything seemed different. The usual cacophony of the market felt like a distant hum, overshadowed by the echo of her own heartbeat. She paused at the corner where the boy had vanished, her gaze lingering on the spot where he had stood, a silent prayer for his safety and well-being escaping her lips. The sun was beginning its descent, casting long shadows that stretched across the cobblestone path. Mara's home was not far, a modest dwelling on the outskirts of the bustling town. As she approached, the sound of her children's laughter reached her ears, a bittersweet melody that reminded her of the sacrifices she made daily. Inside, her daughter Leah was teaching her younger brother Ezra how to count using pebbles. They looked up as she entered, their faces lighting up with the innocence of youth, unaware of the struggles their mother faced. "Mama, did you get the bread?" Ezra asked, his eyes wide with hope. Mara nodded, setting down her basket. "Yes, my love, and something extra," she said, pulling out the bag of olives. Their eyes widened in delight, a rare treat that brought smiles to their faces. As they ate, Mara's mind wandered back to the marketplace. She couldn't help but wonder about the boy, about his story, and what had driven him to steal. Her heart ached for him, for the life he must lead, for the hunger that drove him to desperation. As the evening meal concluded, Mara sat back, watching her children play with the remnants of their meal, their laughter filling the small room. Yet, the encounter with the boy lingered in her thoughts, a persistent whisper that wouldn't quiet. She felt a tug, a call to do more, to understand the depths of the struggles others faced. The next morning, Mara rose early, her mind set on a new purpose. She decided to visit the marketplace again, not just for her own needs, but to seek out the boy, to offer him not just coins, but perhaps a chance at something more. The marketplace was already bustling by the time she arrived. She scanned the crowd, her eyes searching for the familiar, thin figure. After some time, she spotted him near the edge of the market, his back against a wall, watching the world with wary eyes. Mara approached him cautiously, her heart beating with a mix of hope and apprehension. "Hello?" she said softly, not wanting to startle him. The boy looked up, his eyes narrowing in recognition and then widening in surprise. You're the lady from yesterday," he stammered. "Yes, I am Mara. What's your name?" she asked, keeping her voice gentle. He hesitated, then replied, "Eli." Mara sat down beside him, maintaining a respectful distance. "Eli, I've been thinking about you, about what happened. I want to help if you'll let me." Eli's gaze dropped to his hands, which were nervously picking at the hem of his shirt. "Why would you help me? I stole from you. Because everyone deserves a chance, Eli. And because I believe in grace," Mara replied, her voice firm yet kind. Eli looked at her, his expression a mix of skepticism and longing. "I live with my sister. Our parents, they're gone. We try to survive, but it's hard." Mara's heart ached at his words, the echo of her own loss resonating within her. "I understand loss, Eli, and I understand hunger. Let me help you and your sister. Perhaps I can find work for you, or at least ensure you have enough to eat." The offer hung in the air, heavy with the weight of potential change. Eli's eyes searched Mara's face, looking for deceit but finding only sincerity. "Will you come with me to meet my sister?" he asked, a cautious hope in his voice. Mara nodded. "Yes, I would like that very much." Together, they walked through the less crowded back alleys of the marketplace, where the shadows were longer and the air cooler. Eli led her to a small, dilapidated shelter made from discarded materials. Inside, a young girl, perhaps 10 years old, sat with a book in her lap, her eyes lifting in surprise at their arrival. "This is Mara," Eli introduced, his voice a mix of pride and nervousness. "She wants to help us." The girl, whose name was Miriam, looked at Mara with wide, curious eyes. "How can you help us?" she asked, her voice small but clear. Mara smiled, her resolve strengthening. "By showing you that even in the hardest times, there's still kindness in the world. Let's start by ensuring you both have a meal today, and then we'll see what else we can do." As they shared a simple meal, Mara's thoughts were not just on the immediate relief but on the possibilities of what could be done for these children. Her own struggles had taught her resilience, and now she felt a divine nudge to extend that resilience to others. The marketplace, with its vibrant chaos, seemed to hold a new promise, a place not just of trade but of transformation. Mara's heart swelled with a mix of determination and compassion as she watched Eli and Miriam eat. Their gratitude was palpable, their eyes reflecting a cautious hope that Mara was determined to nurture. After the meal, Mara spoke, her voice steady and filled with warmth. "I've been thinking about how we can help each other. Eli, you mentioned you try to survive. Have you ever considered learning a trade?" Eli looked up, his spoon paused midair. "A trade? Like what?" "I know a man, a carpenter named Joseph. He's kind and could use an apprentice. It would mean hard work, but it would give you a skill and perhaps a future," Mara suggested, her eyes searching Eli's for any sign of interest. Eli's face lit up with a flicker of excitement, quickly shadowed by doubt. "But what about Miriam? She can't be alone." Mara nodded, understanding his concern. "I've thought of that too. There's a widow, Rachel, who lives near us. She often watches children in exchange for help around her home. I could speak with her, see if she'd take Miriam in during the day." Miriam, who had been quietly listening, spoke up, her voice small but firm. "I can help too, Mara. I can sew a little. Maybe I could help you with your work." Mara's heart warmed at the offer. "That would be wonderful, Miriam, but we must ensure you're safe and cared for first." The plan was set, but the path was not without its obstacles. The next day, Mara visited Joseph, the carpenter. He was a burly man with a gentle demeanor, his workshop filled with the scent of wood and the sound of tools. After explaining Eli's situation, Joseph agreed to take him on, but with a condition. "He'll need to prove himself, Mara. I can't afford to feed and house someone who isn't willing to work hard," Joseph said, his eyes kind but his tone firm. Mara assured him, "Eli is eager to learn, Joseph. He's been through much, but he's resilient." The arrangement was made, and Eli started his apprenticeship. However, the transition was not smooth. Eli struggled with the discipline required, often arriving late, his mind still tethered to the streets where he had survived by his wits. Joseph, patient but strict, had to remind him daily of the importance of punctuality and diligence. Meanwhile, Mara introduced Miriam to Rachel, who welcomed the girl with open arms. Yet, the integration wasn't without its challenges. Miriam was shy, her trust in adults broken by the harshness of life. She would often retreat into silence, her eyes wide with fear at any sudden movement or loud noise. Mara visited daily, bringing small tasks for Miriam, teaching her the basics of sewing. It was during these visits that Mara noticed something else troubling Miriam. The girl would sometimes wince when bending over or lifting something, a sign of malnourishment or perhaps an old injury. Concerned, Mara decided to take Miriam to see the local healer, an old woman named Sarah, known for her herbal remedies and gentle touch. Sarah confirmed Mara's fears. Miriam was undernourished and had a slight curvature in her spine, likely from poor posture and lack of proper care. "This will take time and care, Mara. She needs better food, rest, and perhaps some exercises to strengthen her back," Sarah advised, her eyes full of sympathy. Mara felt the weight of responsibility grow heavier. She now had not only her own children to care for but also Eli and Miriam, whose needs were pressing and immediate. Her resources were stretched thin, her days filled with work, teaching, and now caregiving. The marketplace, once a place of mere survival, had become a battleground of hope and hardship. Mara's faith was tested daily as she navigated the complexities of her new responsibilities. She prayed for strength, for wisdom, for the grace she had once given to multiply in her life. As weeks turned into months, the challenges did not lessen. Eli's progress was slow, his old habits hard to break. Miriam's health improved, but her emotional scars were deep, her trust slow to rebuild. Yet, amidst these struggles, small victories emerged. Eli began to show a knack for woodworking, his hands growing more skilled with each piece he crafted. Miriam's laughter became more frequent, her sewing skills improving under Mara's patient guidance. The marketplace, with its endless ebb and flow of life, continued to be the backdrop of their evolving story. Mara's journey was one of faith, not just in a higher power, but in the goodness of humanity, in the potential for change, and in the transformative power of grace. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden hue over the marketplace, Mara found herself alone in her modest home. The children were asleep, their breaths steady and peaceful, a stark contrast to the turmoil in her heart. She sat at the small table, her fingers tracing the worn wood, her thoughts heavy with the day's events. Eli had come home late again, his eyes downcast, his shoulders slumped with the weight of his struggle to adapt. Joseph had sent word through a young apprentice that Eli's tardiness was becoming a problem, threatening the very opportunity Mara had fought so hard to secure for him. And Miriam, though her health was improving, still bore the scars of her past, her trust in the world fragile as a spider's web. Mara's gaze drifted to the small pouch on the table, now even lighter than before. The coins she had given Eli were not returned, and the expenses for Miriam's care were mounting. She felt the familiar pang of desperation, the same one that had gripped her when she first saw Eli's desperate eyes in the marketplace. A soft knock at the door pulled her from her reverie. It was Rachel, her face etched with concern. "Mara, I need to speak with you," she said, her voice low. Mara invited her in, offering her a seat. "What's troubling you, Rachel?" "It's Miriam," Rachel began, her hands wringing together. "She's been having nightmares, waking up screaming. She talks in her sleep about her parents, about things I can't quite understand.
I'm worried, Mara.
I'm not sure I can continue to care for her if she's going to be so unsettled." Mara's heart sank. She had hoped Rachel's home would be a sanctuary for Miriam, a place where she could heal. "I understand, Rachel. I'll speak with her, see if I can help her find some peace." After Rachel left, Mara sat in silence, the weight of her responsibilities pressing down on her. She felt alone, the burden of caring for not just her own children but also Eli and Miriam overwhelming. Her faith, which had been her anchor, now seemed like a distant light in a growing storm. The next day, Mara decided to confront Eli directly. She found him in Joseph's workshop, his hands busy with sanding a piece of wood, but his mind clearly elsewhere. "Eli," she called softly, not wanting to startle him. He looked up, his eyes meeting hers with a mix of guilt and defiance. "Mara, I'm trying," he said, his voice cracking under the strain. "I know you are," Mara replied, her tone gentle but firm. "But trying isn't enough if you want to succeed. You must commit fully. Joseph has given you a chance, and it's up to you to make the most of it." Eli's hands stilled, the sandpaper resting on the wood. "I know, Mara. It's just hard to leave the old ways behind." Mara took a deep breath, her resolve firming. "I understand, Eli. But remember, grace isn't just about receiving. It's about giving back, about changing. You have a chance here to not just survive, but to thrive. For you, for Miriam, for your future." Eli nodded slowly, the weight of her words sinking in. "I'll do better, Mara. I promise." That evening, Mara sat with Miriam, who was unusually quiet, her eyes distant. "Miriam, can you tell me about your nightmares?" Mara asked gently, her voice a soothing balm. Miriam's gaze dropped to her lap, her fingers twisting together. "I dream of the fire, Mara. The night our house burned down. My parents, they didn't make it out." Mara's heart broke for the child. She took Miriam's hands in hers, offering warmth and comfort. "I'm so sorry, Miriam. It's okay to feel scared, to remember. But you're not alone anymore. We're here, and we'll help you through this." Miriam looked up, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. Will it ever stop hurting? It might not stop, but it will change, Mara said, her voice steady. Pain can become a part of who we are, but it doesn't have to define us. You're strong, Miriam. Stronger than you know. The next day, Mara decided it was time for a community effort. She spoke with the elders of the town, explaining the plight of Eli and Miriam, and how their struggles were not isolated but reflective of many in the community. We need to help each other, she urged, not just with words, but with actions. The response was mixed, but a few hearts were moved. Joseph, inspired by Mara's dedication, agreed to mentor Eli more closely, seeing in him not just a worker, but a son in need of guidance. Rachel, though initially hesitant, decided to continue caring for Miriam, understanding that her own healing might come from helping another. Weeks passed, and the marketplace became a symbol of change. Eli, under Joseph's guidance, began to show not just skill but a newfound sense of responsibility. His work improved, and with it, his confidence. Miriam, with the support of Mara and Rachel, started to open up, her laughter becoming a more frequent visitor in their lives. One Sabbath, as the community gathered for the weekly meeting, Mara stood before them, her voice steady but filled with a quiet strength. Friends, neighbors, I stand here not just as Mara, the widow, but as a testament to what grace can do. Our community has faced trials, but through these trials, we found a chance to show our true colors. She paused, looking around at the faces, some skeptical, others curious, and a few already touched by her words. Eli and Miriam are not just children in need. They are a mirror to our own struggles and our potential for compassion. Their journey is our journey, a path we can walk together. Joseph, standing at the back, nodded in agreement. He had seen Eli's transformation, how the boy's hands, once quick to steal, now crafted with care and precision. Mara speaks the truth, he said, his voice carrying over the crowd. Eli has shown dedication, and in him, I see a future craftsman, a brother, perhaps even a son. Rachel, holding Miriam's hand, stepped forward. And Miriam, she began, her voice softer. She has taught me patience and the healing power of kindness. Her nightmares have lessened, and in her eyes, I see a light returning. The community listened, some with arms crossed, others with hands clasped in contemplation. The marketplace, usually a place of commerce, had become a stage for a different kind of exchange, one of stories, of lives touched by hardship and hope. Mara continued, when I gave Eli those coins, I didn't expect anything in return, but what I received was far greater than gold. I saw the power of grace, how it can multiply, how it can transform not just one life, but many. She then turned to Eli and Miriam, who stood beside her, their eyes wide with a mix of nervousness and pride. These children, Mara said, her voice breaking with emotion, they are our future. By helping them, we help ourselves. We build a community not just of survival, but of thriving. The elders conferred among themselves, their whispers a soft murmur against the backdrop of the quieting market. Finally, the eldest, a man named Ezra, spoke up. Mara, your words carry weight. We've seen the changes in Eli and Miriam, and perhaps it's time we all learn from this grace you speak of. A decision was made. The community would support Eli's apprenticeship, ensuring he had the tools and materials needed. They would also contribute to Miriam's care, providing food, clothing, and perhaps even a small room in Rachel's home for her comfort. As the meeting concluded, the marketplace seemed to breathe a sigh of relief, as if the very air was lighter with the promise of communal support. Mara felt a warmth spread through her, not just from the sun setting over the stalls, but from the collective spirit of her neighbors. That night, as Mara sat with her own children, Leah and Ezra, she shared the day's events. You see, she told them, when we give from our hearts, even when we have little, the world gives back in ways we can't always see. Leah, now understanding more than her years might suggest, nodded. So, Mama, when we help others, we're helping ourselves too? Yes, my love, Mara replied, her eyes glistening with unshed tears of joy. We are all connected. When one of us rises, we all do. The days that followed saw a transformation in the marketplace. Eli's work was displayed with pride. His creations sold not just for their craftsmanship, but as symbols of community support. Miriam, now healthier and more confident, began to help Mara with her sewing, her stitches growing neater with each garment. The marketplace, once a place of mere transactions, had become a community hub where stories were shared, where help was given freely, and where every act of kindness was a thread in the tapestry of their collective life. Mara's faith, tested and stretched, not only held firm but also grew. She realized that grace was not just a moment of giving but a way of living. It was in the daily choices to see beyond one's own needs, to extend a hand, to offer a smile, to share a meal. As the seasons changed, so did the lives of those in the marketplace. Eli, now a skilled carpenter, began to teach others, passing on the grace he had received. Miriam, her laughter now a common sound, found joy in the simple acts of kindness she could perform. And Mara? She continued her work, her heart lighter, her faith stronger. She knew that the grace she had extended in a moment of desperation had not only changed Eli and Miriam's lives, but had woven a new fabric of community, one where everyone understood that grace, indeed, was worth more than gold. In the end, the marketplace was not just a place of trade, but a testament to the enduring power of compassion, a reminder that in every act of kindness, there lies the potential for transformation, for healing, and for a community to thrive together. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment if you enjoyed this story. This will help us create more engaging stories for you.